Happy New Year. It is 2023 and somehow I feel like I'm still recovering from 2019. The dawn of a new year is often a time for reflection and introspection, taking the present moment to reflect on the past and to plan for the future. Today, I'm going to take you through my own introspection, but with books, because this is still a books channel. Mostly. Let's get into it. First, I want to tell you about the inspiration for this video. Every couple of months or so, I do an introspection exercise called the circles. It's something that I learned from an old friend of mine a few years ago back when we worked together, and I've done it regularly since. It's really simple. All you have to do is draw 3 circles, one representing your past, one representing your present, and another representing your future. The size, shape, color, and relative distance to each other should all be representative of that time period and what it means to you in the moment that you're doing the exercise. I have so many of these that I've collected over the years, and I always find it really interesting to see how my perception of these 3 time periods changes and morphs over a few short months or over the course of a year. I thought today we would chat about a book that I read in the past, a book that I'm currently reading in the present, and a future release that I'm looking forward to this year. A book that I read and absolutely loved last year was Open Water. It's the debut novel by Caleb Azuma Nelson, and although I read this book back in May, I still cannot stop thinking about it. I did a full video review about it, which I'll leave up in the card and down in the description box, but it basically follows 2 young Black artists in London who meet and fall in love. I honestly went into this thinking that it was going to be a simple boy meets girl kind of love story, but it is so much more. Caleb Azuma Nelson manages to write the way in which Black people feel on an everyday basis. The characters in this book are written in a way which are incredibly vulnerable, and you watch them move through the world in a way that's very unique. It's very different from anything I've ever read in a book before. As a Black woman, I've never read a book that has made me feel as seen as this book has. I'm continually picking it up to reference notes and highlights, and it's so funny because there are a lot of lines in this book that are repeated almost in a poetic way, and one of them is "language fails us." I feel like there aren't really enough words to fully describe the impact that this book has had on me and how heartbreakingly beautiful it is, but I really did try to capture its essence in my full review, so be sure to check that out after this. And before we move on to the plethora of books that I'm in the middle of right now, comment down below and let me know what your favorite read of 2022 was. Alright, presently I'm in the middle of a few books, and this is very out of character for me. I am very much a one book at a time person, but I've had a lot of trouble sticking to my reading habit if I'm being pretty honest. One that I found really fascinating is a book called Burnout, and it's written by twin sisters Emily and Amelia Nagoski, who are both doctors, by the way. I first found out about them when they appeared on a podcast episode of Unlocking Us with Brene Brown, where they talked about some of the main themes of the book, like how emotions have stages, a beginning, middle, and end, and how we have to move through those stages in order to complete our feeling cycle, and that's sometimes referred to as the stress cycle. One example they give is for you to imagine that you're walking down the street and you get catcalled by someone. It might infuriate you in the moment, but you ignore it and you keep walking and you eventually move on with your day. Except as the day progresses, you find that it's still bothering you. And they say that's because even though the moment has passed, maybe you're at work now, or maybe you're at home or someplace else that's away from this person who was harassing you on the street, just because you've moved away from the stressors doesn't mean that the stress cycle is complete. You have to deal with the stress itself separately, and you have to do something that signals to your body that you're safe, or else you'll just stay in the state with neurochemicals and hormones degrading but never really shift into full relaxation. And that builds up over time, they say. I really like that they cover 6 very practical steps for completing the stress cycle, so it's not just a bunch of science talk with no real life strategies that you can implement. It's aimed at women, but honestly I think this stuff applies to everybody, but I do acknowledge that society places different responsibilities and expectations onto women, so there might be some stressors that are more common with women. Overall, I really like it so far. It's written in a way that feels very approachable and engaging, and there are some worksheets in it which I really appreciate. A lot of the content is written in a let me tell you a story about a friend of mine and then explain it kind of way. Alright, this last one on the list I cannot wait to get to, and it is Quietly Hostile by Samantha Irby. I absolutely love this writer. If you're not familiar with her, Sam Irby is an essayist and comedy writer, but I actually don't think that does her work justice. I've read a couple of her books like We Are Never Meeting in Real Life and Wow, No Thank You, and her writing is definitely laugh aloud funny. So funny that it can almost be really easy to miss the more serious aspects that are baked in. Like in Wow, No Thank You, she approaches really big, meaty topics like depression, grief, chronic illness, capitalism, and more, and she manages to dissect these issues succinctly while also causing you to keel over with laughter. And I think that takes real skill to balance the two of those. From my understanding, in this book, she goes into how she survived the pandemic, she shares stories about her family and growing up, and she talks about the ways in which her newfound fame has changed her and the ways in which it hasn't. If you're a fan of Samantha Irby, look out for this book. It's set to be released on May 16th. That's my past, present, and future of books, and I'm so excited to hear what you've read, what you're currently reading, or what you want to read this year. So drop a comment down below and let me know. Catch you later, and Happy New Year.